know what the main thing is I found interesting around playing 1992's The Addams Family? Just how many of those levels, from when I started outside the Addams Family house, were all interconnected. You know, the house was beautiful, it was a hub where I could enter different stages through different doors, sure. But the stages alternates, they had secret paths that led to other areas of the house. You know, to put it into a genre, I can't really call it a Metroidvania. It's not really Castlevania, it's not really Metroid, because it didn't have gate progression behind character abilities. But given that ease of access between each individual level at a moment's notice, to play through to collect each of the Addams family, it was interesting. It didn't penalise me if I couldn't do a certain area. It allowed me to access other points and play those through, and then come back later to achieve the final goal. In many ways, I'd probably ape it a little bit more towards Mega Man rather than anything else. And yet Pugsley's Scavenger Hunt took an idea to do a sequel and then got rid of that defining feature. The house, yeah, it's still a hub. It still looks very similar to the original. The stages broke out from the hub and they can be completed in any order. Is that the same way? But there are only 3 or 4 options at the start. Selecting a door in the home seems a little different than choosing a robot to fight in Mega Man. Yeah. And as disappointed I am for this change, almost everything else seems to have been changed for the better. The graphics especially are a massive step up. Probably even, would I say they're probably the best so far on the Super Nintendo? When it comes to the 2D art style, they've got to be really high up there. Yeah, looking back at the previous game after playing Pugsley Scavenger Hunt, yeah, it's clear that the latter has made more use of the brighter colours in a way that might not be as clear as first. The incredible increase of visual quality is more remarkable when you realise that this game was basically released in just nigh of 11 months from the original one. And that huge wealth of development time, well, and then with just a small team, to do such an advancement was incredible. Yet the other improvement it's got is in Pugsley's Scavenger Hunt is the controls. In the first game, Gomez really suffered from, what was it? Kind of almost hypertensive controls. Thankfully these problems are mostly gone. Yeah, Pugsley can still be a bit erratic and a bit trigger sensitive at times, especially on a D-pad. But you never really have him career out of control into a monster just because you decide to run. Not like the original. Now, every death that I had in this game, I felt accountable from, and that really came from the game's increased difficulty level compared to the original. Even the hub has fallen from, even the hub has things falling from the sky out of nowhere to sap your life away. Yeah, expect enemies and projectiles to appear when you need to make any precise jumps and platforming. It really added some additional skill to the first game, which I absolutely enjoyed. Now, I spent most of the time playing this one really, I suppose, reminiscing that some of this cool stuff wasn't really in the original, and you know, could have really improved it if it had been there. And yet, would I say the sequel's better? In the grand scheme of things, looking with rose-tinted glasses and nostalgia 30 years later, I say, you know what, the sequel is better in many ways. The audio is fantastic, the graphics are divine, and the gameplay in itself is on par with the original, if improved. Yet from all that, the reduced scope and the accessibility that the original had And the huge spike in difficulty makes any newcomer coming to this one without really playing through the doldrums of the original first a bit more of an expert challenge. And to be fair, for all the benefits, I have to look at the faults again. For the rating really on this one, Pugsley gets a 3 out of 5. It's great. It's a game that you can sit back, enjoy more of. But without playing the first, you're really missing something special. And to be fair, if you have played the first, there are going to be times you are going to hark back to the original's glitchy controls and the original's hampered style and think, well, I'd love to see more of that. Like an old friend. For more reviews like this, check out that retrovideogamer.com for the latest news, reviews, retro footage, retro reviews, and everything else in between. Until then, like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Take care.